What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the LakerCentral Postgame Show. I'm Alex. That is Vinay. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of our pre or post-game content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, wherever you guys listen to your podcast. So the Lakers just dropped this game against the Spurs, guys. 118 to 109. I see a lot of frustrated Laker fans on the timeline, but look, Lakers are 7-3. It was an ugly game. They clearly
Six
did
and three.
6-3. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They obviously were tired of playing San Antonio for the third time in like 4 nights. I mean, they
In, in our first 9 games, we finished our season series against San Antonio, and we beat them twice, right? So like,
yep.
it seemed like they were playing like a team that was like hyper focused. Like, we're not gonna get swept by you guys. We've already gotten beaten by you guys twice. But sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I mean, look. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan are hitting threes. I mean, it's just gonna be one of those nights, right? Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers certainly. This game started off. I think both teams missed like the first 8 shots, and then the Spurs went up five. And then I just said to myself, like, okay, this is gonna be one of those nights where the Lakers struggle to knock down baskets, but they picked it up. Unfortunately, on the defensive end, we didn't see much effort at all. Like they just couldn't get stops. Um,
Yeah,
eh,
I would say that there were points in this game where like they were playing like good defense. I wouldn't say it was like lockdown defense. I would say it was like good effort defense. But clearly, it's a lot of it has to do with like just the overall energy. I mean, we talked about it last post game or pregame. I forgot which one we did. Like they're playing 4 games in 7 days.
yep.
Like, and one of them is a back to back. It's just like I don't know what to tell folks, man. Try and play 4 games in 7 days. Like, just go play basketball for 3 hours, 4 times in a week, and see what that's like. And make sure that 2 of those days are back to back. Like, you'll be physically exhausted. Like unless you're a young guy, like 18-year-old guy or something like that, you can recover quickly. So I get it, man. And they're traveling and stuff like that. I think we've been pretty vocal, or I've been pretty vocal, saying that like I won't be surprised if they're playing like barely over 500. They're 6-3. If they win tomorrow, they'll be 7-3, which will. And my guess, my assumption at the time was that the Lakers after 10 games would be like 6-4.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought, and they finished 7-3. That's great. That's pretty good. But it's pretty clear, like this game and like the Blazers game, it's just defense wasn't quite there from the team altogether. At least not consistently enough. And so, it's all right. It's obviously we don't want this to become a trend. So hopefully they clean all that stuff up tomorrow because they're going to be playing a pretty dynamic backcourt in Kobe White and Zach LaVine. So they can't be letting guys just line them up. So we'll see what happens. See how it goes.
I mean, they just didn't have it tonight, man. Like,
Yeah.
there was a stretch where I thought, all right, in the second half, they're going to turn it on and they'll probably win this thing. And the truth is, they've just been out talenting teams all season.
Mm-hmm.
Like they haven't really out executed anybody. They have more talent than everybody else, and so that's how they won a lot of these games. And I know people want to see kind of a sharper team. It's extremely tough, I think, for fans to see how sharp they were in the playoffs and particularly in the finals. And now to kind of
Mm-hmm.
start this season with all the hype around it, they're champions. You added 2 6 men of the year. You added Marc Gasol. Like you added all these guys that's supposed to make the team look even better than last year. And I think fans expect this team to look really good right now. And it's going to take a little bit of time, guys. Like that's I don't have any in-depth analysis beyond that other than it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
Like who
I
who
mean,
they
I,
are
I,
who they are right now, they're not going to be 30 games from now.
yeah, yeah. I would say that LeBron looked really good. I thought, like,
He
he
did.
started off really, really kind of rough, but I thought he looked good in the sense that, like, in that third quarter, which is typically where he started being much more aggressive on the offensive end, he looked really good. He was really rolling and stuff like that, so that was really good. Inconsistent effort kind of from from AD tonight. Like just on the offensive end, he seemed like he was just kind of in and out of the offense, like not really trying to be aggressive and stuff like that. But I mean, this you have to kind of give credit to the Spurs. They had already seen 2 games of what we were going to do to them,
Mhm.
and they came very very prepared. But I mean, they couldn't miss. It felt like they were making like 90% of their contested shots. But Aldridge hit that turnaround 3 or whatever on Caruso as time was expiring. Oh, all right, we're not winning this game. Like these guys are making shots like this, and then the offensive rebound where DeJounte Murray got in the corner and AD closed out on him, and he still made it. I was like, all right, come on, man. Like we're not winning this game. Like, and so it's all right, man. You get games like this to happen. I think why it's so disappointing for Laker fans is because it's close. Like we go into that game only being down 2 in the fourth, and we expect the same kind of stuff that we saw from last year, where the Lakers, super lock in on the defensive end, and all of a sudden, they turn a 2-point deficit going into the fourth into like a 15-point blowout or something like that within like 8 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. But sometimes that's just kind of what happens with these games.
I mean, look, I agree with you. What you said at the top of the show. It's our season series with the Spurs. They didn't want to get swept, and Popovich obviously hates the Lakers. They were going to give us maximum effort. Finally got to see LaMarcus Aldridge tonight. He looked really good. I suspect whoever they play next, he'll look terrible because that's kind of how these things go, right? But
Yeah.
The Lakers. Not only has it been a shortened season, not only are they coming off a championship, but like KCP's been out. Caruso just got back after missing 5 games. Like there's been lineup changes all throughout the season already. Like it's just they're trying to acclimate new players. So there's a lot of things going on, and I think one of the issues fans are having, like I see it every game, man. Like fans want a different big man than Marc Gasol. And there were certainly a number of possessions where, this isn't all on Mark, but like the Spurs had easy drives to the baskets or to the basket, and we expect Anthony Davis to kind of be like that guy in the middle of the paint where he swats everything, or he at least is a deterrent. He doesn't look that way right now. Fans are upset about that, and they're coasting. Like clearly they are in cruise control right now. Like I think they got a little annoyed tonight. Like LeBron's face, it looked like he was a little pissed off towards the end. Someone said I think AD and Schroeder might have gotten to it on the bench. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what it was? At the beginning of the game, the Lakers shot quality. They didn't make them, but their shot quality was really good. They got like they got like really wide open looks off for Schroeder. It was actually getting to the point where they were leaving Schroeder wide open for a big swaths of the game. But Schroeder, he started off the game. I think he missed like his first 3 shots. And like as soon as he missed his first 3 shots, like he like took himself out of the game. So like AD would set him up for like the DHO and like the pick and roll and stuff. But Schroeder he didn't have it tonight. Like he wasn't aggressive. I was tweeting it throughout the game and stuff like that. But like he seemed like he was a little too passive tonight. I don't know if it's just because the Spurs were being overly physical, the wings were being physical with him or something. But like it just seemed like he was not in it. Did he even play the fourth quarter?
I don't know. He played 27 minutes.
I don't remember Schroeder playing the. I have to check, but I don't remember him playing in the fourth quarter at all. He didn't start that quarter next to Braun because I thought they went with a whole different lineup. So I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if like something happened and like something happened in the sense that like Vogel or just kind of realized his shoulder wasn't in it, and so he just didn't play him in the fourth, and he gave the minutes to THT, gave the minutes to Caruso and stuff like that to let them kind of get their legs, get their reps in and stuff like that. Maybe he's hoping that like rebound really well, because I mean Chicago's a young team, it's a fast team, they'll run up and down the floor and stuff like that. So it's just kind of what it is. We didn't get blown out. I was kind of hoping that we would get blown out if we were going to lose this game because those usually send a better message to the team than when you lose by like 9 or 10 points.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think the fact that it seemed like Anthony Davis was a little annoyed throughout the game just because of the defensive effort and stuff that was happening, and that LeBron was a little annoyed too. And to be fair, there were a lot of miscues on their parts too. Like they weren't like lockdown defenders and like nobody else.
Right.
Like the other guys were definitely trying, but some of that stuff was great defense and these guys just making really tough shots. But in the fourth quarter, I counted there was two consecutive plays where like the very first shot look that the Spurs got was a wide open three, and they took it and they missed them both. So like when the Lakers went down 10, I tweeted it out. I was just like, they should be down by a lot more right now because their
Yep.
defense has been horrendous at this point, and they're just giving up. There's too much ball watching. They were like, it was ball watching to the point where like they turned into zombies. Like they were like gravitating more and more towards the ball and just
Hmm.
completely forgetting that their guy was standing on the perimeter behind them. So they'd be super late on the cuts and stuff like that. I would say also that the Spurs did a very good job, not because they don't turn over the ball very much, but they also did a very good job not allowing the Lakers to get into transition. That's half court basketball.
Hmm.
Um, and that's playoff basketball. A lot of teams are going to be cleaning up a lot of their mistakes and stuff like that. So I don't want to keep harping on all the negative stuff that happened today. Clearly, the team just didn't have it. It reminded me a lot of the Blazers game, where they just kind of a little less dramatic than the Blazers game, but
Yeah.
that the effort just wasn't there. But I will say, um, well, we can migrate to the positive things that happen. So we talked about Braun looking really good. Surprise, surprise, the refs are not giving him calls when it seems like people are hanging all over him as he's going to the rim. So that's kind of a weird occurrence yet again. Um, but again, it's a Spurs. I wonder if the refs are like, all right, man, like you guys are just too good for these guys. We're gonna let a couple of these go. It's natural. They don't do it on purpose. It just happens naturally. But I thought Taylor Horton Tucker looked really good, man. The minutes that he came in, getting downhill and stuff like that, I thought he looked really great. Is there anybody like anything that you saw that like he did that you kind of like?
I mean, he got to the basket like he's been doing really all since the preseason, and his craftiness around the basket. I mean, he's full of energy. Like he's just like he goes, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really good. He doesn't, he didn't shoot well from three. I think he missed all his threes tonight, but like he doesn't seem to get down on himself. He just keeps playing, and he was out there. I think he was out there in the fourth. Before it kind of got out of control. But he was
Yeah,
out there in meaningful minutes, and that's a good sign that Frank trusted him. I know KCP didn't play, but still. And then I thought he played quality minutes with Caruso. And Caruso came in
yeah,
with a ton of energy for a guy that had missed the last 5 games. He knocked down his threes. I think I tweeted before the game he was shooting 50% on 2.7 threes a game. Came in tonight and knocked down, I think, two or three of them. He knocked down two threes tonight. Had a few rebounds. I mean, Caruso, Tucker, and Matthews, I mean, at least their plus minuses were good.
yeah,
It felt like the starters let the team down. I mean, LeBron was pretty good, but I don't think anybody got a lot of calls. LeBron shot 11 free throws. AD was 0 for 2. I mean, he doesn't shoot a lot of free throws anyway.
yeah,
But you're still seeing kind of a lack of aggression sometimes because he's so
yeah.
great on the out perimeter that he's not. I don't think he's forcing the issue. We know the refs aren't gonna give anything to LeBron. It's kind of like with Shaq. They're just not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But
Yeah. I,
all in
I'll
all,
say this. I thought LeBron. I think LeBron this season has been doing a better job using his dribble, getting to the rim, as opposed to like bulldozing his way to the rim. Like I feel like he's had to do like a lot of the post dribble to get around guys and stuff like that. And even like he had a cross on Keldon Johnson, where he cut like Keldon Johnson was asleep. He had no choice but to like basically foul LeBron, or else give up the layup. But I thought he looked pretty good, man. Like some of the stuff that he was doing looked really nice. It always just kind of comes down to like, what version, how do we start? What does our bench look like and stuff like that? Like I feel like they were winning the points in the paint game today,
mm-hmm.
but if you give up like over 45 or close to 50% shooting from three, it's really really tough to lose that, to win a game when you're giving up that many threes and stuff like that. And so Um, it's tough, but I thought LeBron, like his ability to get to the rim was kind of good because the game slowed down, So like it's not like he's getting full run downhill in transition
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I thought that when he got loose in the third quarter, he was doing a lot of that out of the half court, which was kind of cool to see. And yeah, I mean the same thing with THT. Like when the Lakers simplified their actions and they just said, "All right, just run a DHO or just run basic pick
Right.
and roll with Montrez and THT," they got good looks. And maybe it was just the Spurs just being very, very like it was the Spurs being like very, very aware of the stuff that the Lakers like to run and trying to jam it all up. Because I felt like they got their hands on a lot of the balls, forced jump balls, strips, that and like knock the ball out of bounds, that kind of stuff.
I mean, they shot 50% from the field, so they. But to your point, you give up. I think the Spurs shot like 46 or 48%. Like they were just knocking down threes, and the Lakers
Yeah.
couldn't keep up. And the Lakers, they shot threes kind of like they did last season. I think they shot some mid 30s, low 30s, something like that this game. So they weren't really effective from there. And then they didn't get stops. And I think it's like someone had messaged me and said like the rotations are, Frank is playing too many players, and I'm just like, it's early in the season. Like that's what
Yeah.
that's everyone should expect, that there's going to be, kind of longer, bigger rotations to start the season, especially with guys kind of in and out the lineup already. And
Mhm.
LeBron and AD, neither one played major minutes. I think AD might have played 34. LeBron played like around 30, and then they finally pulled him or whatever. But like this is just, I think what you're going to see, like we're accustomed to seeing with the fan bases, there's going to be an overreaction. Like
Mhm.
Kuzma didn't have a great game tonight, so fans are going to want to trade Kuzma, and it's like he's been pretty solid all season long. I think he's had his
Yep.
ups and downs, but he's been fairly solid. I think that it's always about
Yep.
expectations. It's always
He
about kind
had
of
13.
looking at it.
I was gonna say Kuzma had 13 and 10, four offensive rebounds. He had the most offensive rebounds of anybody on the team not named. Yeah, Anthony Davis had two offensive rebounds. He didn't shoot well, which is fair.
Yeah.
But I counted maybe three of those offensive rebounds were him basically putting back like a LeBron miss or an Anthony or like a Montrez. Like somebody missed a shot and he hustled to get an offensive rebound and put it back. So I would say like of the 13 points he scored today, I would say like I think six of those points were from offensive rebound putbacks by Kuzma, just in between like two or three Spurs guys
Mm-hmm.
beating them to the ball and stuff like that. So it's like, I get it though. Like, he didn't shoot very well from three today. He went 1 for 6. Wes Matthews went 1 for 5. Horton Tucker, you mentioned he went 0 for 3.
Yep.
Um, but I'm telling you, man, something was up with Schroeder at the beginning of this game. For some reason, he was just kind of out of it. He only played 27 minutes. He barely played. So I'm almost 100% sure he didn't play that. He didn't play that fourth quarter because it's very, very hard to. I don't know where he got that. Where he got those minutes. So I think Frank may have deliberately kept him out of the game, just because it's a back to back and he's probably going to give him. He thinks that it's a better matchup. Chicago, he'll need him more. But the only guys that eclipsed 30 minutes tonight were Ron, Anthony Davis, and Kuzma barely got over 30 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
Frank was using a very, very spread out rotation because it was a back to back. And, some of it was because it's a back to back, but some of it was also just because our starters didn't play very well at all. It's very, Marcus Gasol played 13 minutes, minus 16. Like that's very hard to do, that be that bad that early on. But I mean, hey,
He,
he was matched up against Aldridge, and Aldridge couldn't miss a three. Like he started the game off hitting
mm-hmm.
a bunch of.
I mean,
So
Mark picked up
it's
those.
tough.
I think he picked up 2 early fouls too in the first quarter. Like the first few minutes, he
Yeah.
picked up those fouls, and then it was just like, all right, Spurs played well, man. It's like sometimes you have to just like tip your hat to these teams. Like they outplayed the Lakers, and I think for the Lakers, like you said, they got the Bulls tomorrow night, so it's a back to back, and then
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday the Rockets, and then Tuesday the Rockets again. So like, you know, it they're not playing. They're still not in a part of their schedule where they're playing playoff contenders. I mean, the Rockets probably are, a playoff team, but they're not really playing the teams that I think are going to make them work, or they're going to wake up for on game day and say, okay, this is the team we need to get up for.
Right.
Like
Right.
Grizzlies, the Spurs, who else have like the Mavericks, the Mavericks, they blew out, but they're just the Timberwolves. these aren't teams that make them wake up and say, "Oh, we better be ready." You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I'm looking at them at this point.
Yeah, and I'm reading the post game tweets right now from Trudell, and Trudell just said himself, Anthony Davis. This is him verbatim. Anthony Davis summarizing the evening. We didn't play any defense.
There you go.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so it's just it's that's just kind of how it goes, man. If you don't play defense, no matter how good you look, it just never happens. And so that's just kind of the story of the night. It's not too many things I would say that we have to pick apart. I would say Montrez looked good today. I thought he did. He was much because of the pick there where he's being used in pick and roll action and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. He looked much more active on the boards. Even a couple of the putbacks and stuff that he had, it's because they were running pick and roll action, so he was able to get downhill and kind of overwhelm guys. They have to do stuff like that on nights like this when they don't they're just flat shooting wise. Like go back to just basic basketball action and run pick and rolls. Like don't do anything complex. Like don't force yourself into isolations because the Spurs are going to send like three guys at whoever the isolating guy is. So that kind of stuff will happen. I thought AD didn't take too many jumpers. It didn't feel like today. It felt like he was trying to get shots inside the paint. I know he had a nice spin move dunk. I think it was
Yeah.
on Aldridge or on
Yep.
Hurdle or something like that.
He spun
He actually had a
baseline.
second one, but I think he got fouled, but they just didn't call anything. But he's that trend. He's kind of started setting that spin move up. He's gotten pretty good at setting it up because I've seen him do it a couple times now, where he kind of like cross dribbles from left to right into that
Mm-hmm.
spin move, and the bigs are being caught off guard by that, and he's getting right to the rim for a dunk too. So that may be it's something worth keeping an eye on. But I wonder if that is it's a Phil Handy counter, like to because he gets to the rim before the guy on the help side can come get him. So I thought that was kind of interesting too to see. But we'll see tomorrow, man. I think Chicago plays. Do they play three guards? So they have Kobe White, Zach LaVine, they have Otto Porter, then they have Laurie Markkinen, and then they have Wendell Carter Jr. So they don't have a. I don't think Wendell Carter Jr. is playing. I don't think he's a floor spacer in the same way that Aldridge probably is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's a young athlete, so I guess we should get better minutes out of Gasol and stuff like that. And they're a young team, so sometimes they're a little undisciplined on their defense and stuff like that. So it should be interesting to see. But they can all shoot. Markkinen can shoot. Otto Porter Jr. can shoot. So we'll have to see what version of the Lakers we get defensively. But if Anthony Davis is openly saying that they didn't play any defense, I suspect that they'll probably come out much more aggressive defensively next game. And they may actually consider. I don't know if they'll put Kuz on, if they'll start Kuz again if KCP doesn't play. I wouldn't be surprised if they try Caruso just to
Mm-hmm.
change up the energy pace
Right.
and kind of bring some normalcy to the rotations because I think it's kind of throwing their rotations out of whack that they're playing Kuzma at the same time as LeBron when he's supposed to be backing up LeBron and playing that off-ball role for the other guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do.
Well, and I did wonder, if they were at all distracted by all the stuff that happened in the Capitol yesterday.
Could be.
I mean, the
Could be.
the Lakers. The news came out that they're going to go to the White House when Biden is in there, so they clearly were paying attention yesterday. So I did wonder how much of that in itself zapped the energy from the Lakers and from someone like LeBron I mean those guys are the highest. It's the highest profile team in the league. Obviously, they're going to get asked a ton of questions. Whether it's before the game or even yesterday. So I thought that might have taken a little bit out of them, but we'll never know because they're not going to admit to it anyway. But I
True.
did wonder how much of that was a distraction for them.
Yeah, I would say the other concern, we got news of the thing with what's his name?
Curry.
No, what's his name? But yeah, with Curry.
Yep.
Curry ended up getting what's it called? A positive test. He was on the bench. Now they're saying that both teams may have to quarantine. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation, but they may have to start postponing games outright for like a whole week for at least for those matchups specifically until they figure out what the quarantine procedure and stuff like that's going to be.
Well, Ramona said that Embiid is going to quarantine also because he was sitting next to Curry on a bench and he has a newborn, so he doesn't want, certainly doesn't want to get sick or get his child sick. So, yeah, I mean, look, we saw this with the NFL and with Major League Baseball, like guys being allowed to play, and then all of a sudden you're on the bench and a positive test comes back. I mean, I
No.
still don't understand how that happens. Like that's just, I don't know. I'm not in the process. But who knows if they're going to cancel games? I would assume they're going to have to, because
Yep.
I don't see how you. I know they're going to test them again in the morning. They said, but
Hmm.
I don't see how you don't at least cancel one game and make sure everybody, if tomorrow's tests come back negative, just make sure that all those tests are accurate. So
Yeah, I mean they have rapid testing, and then that's basically how they're going about doing it. So I think if I had to take a guess, probably what they're going to do is they're probably going to try and postpone at least one or two of those games because they can add it to the back end
right.
of something, and just for the safety of the players, just tell them to stay home or wherever they're supposed to stay. Embiid, I think, is doing it because he has a young kid, he's a young
Hmm.
child at home, and so he's taking it very seriously too. He doesn't want it to spread to his family or whatever. Um, but we knew this was going to happen. We knew that like the non-bubble environment was going to result in some positive tests. It's not Steph Curry. Seth Curry got it, and then I think also what's his name?
Michael Porter.
Michael Porter Jr. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently he did a 7-day quarantine, and now he has to do like a 10-day. No, what is it?
Hmm.
Like a 10 to 14 day quarantine.
Yep.
I don't know what he was doing during those 7 days that warrant that he now has to do another 10 days. But sounds to me, if I had to take a guess, sounds to me like he was not taking it seriously, I
Nope.
guess. And so, we know about his political leanings and stuff like that, and we've learned about that last season. But it is what it is. So that'll be interesting. Denver needs him.
Hmm.
They lost Jeremy Grant, they lost Torrey Craig. So not being responsible when it comes to this kind of stuff is tough on your team too as well. So we'll see what happens in that situation. I don't think the Lakers have either one of those teams on the docket anytime soon.
Nope.
Um,
They have the
so
Nets on. I don't think they don't have the Nets till February 18th.
yeah, yeah. So they've got some time, man. Obviously we hope that things like this get resolved sooner than later, but we'll see. I don't know what'll happen necessarily, but the stuff is going to happen. I'm glad that we got Caruso back. He didn't look like he was like suffering from anything COVID related. He looked spry and energetic and stuff like that. So that's good. So it seems like maybe his wasn't a COVID thing. His thing may have been his thing may have been like he went to the bar like the Harden thing or sorry, the John Wall thing where he like went to the barber or something like
Yeah.
that, and then just because he did that he had to what's it called, like sit out a bunch of games and stuff like that. So it's good to see Caruso's healthy. Um, I think the Lakers will start getting back to a little bit more of a normal rotation. Um, like once KCP comes back healthy, assuming nobody else gets hurt and stuff like that. But I think there's been a lot of people. I think there's been a lot of people who are like probably going to have a lot of reactions and stuff to like the first 10 games of the season. But in reality, if the Lakers win the first 7 of the 10 games, and we know that they definitely lost that game to the Clippers because they literally did not give a crap because they got their rings.
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. I'm not really, it's winning your first 7 games off the strength of just talent and not playing any defense. I mean, that's kind of good, you know, for the first 10 games off of a short turnaround.
I mean,
Um,
that's what you have to do until you kind of till everything starts to come together. I mean, that's
yep.
fortunately the Lakers are good enough to win 70% of their games to start the season, right? I mean, you really can't ask for anything more than that. So, and I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Is there anything to break down from this game? What to look forward to with the Bulls game that we haven't already talked about?
Um, it really isn't, and I'll tell you the reason why. Is because their offense is very fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do different stuff. I think some of the stuff that's been bad for them has happened because of stuff like foul trouble. Like Marcus Gasol getting in foul trouble early means that they just can't use them, and they're forced to use different lineups and stuff like that. So if there's anything I'd like them to do is when they have these sort of rough starts, for them to just run really basic stuff. Like just run basic pick and roll. Let AD and Braun or Schroeder and AD run their pick and roll and stuff like that. Or whoever comes off the bench, run pick and roll with Montrez. I think it feels like when at least one guy on the team is getting it going, whether it's Kuzma against Minnesota or Braun against somebody, like this team responds to the energy when they see the
Mm-hmm.
ball go through the hoop. So I think the last couple games, the second game against the Grizzlies and stuff like that, some of these back-to-back, like the second game of the series or whatever, where teams are like really aggressive and trying to lock in on the defensive end, the disjointedness of the offense has kind of made like the rhythm real weird for the team. So I think the Lakers have to really try to do their best to address that. We got to tell Mark, hey man, you've got. We know that you're tipping these balls and stuff like that, but some of them we really don't need. If it's a 0-0 game, don't collect your first foul on like
Yep.
the second play of the game, because
Yep.
it ends up hurting us in the long run, and we can't use the lineup combinations that we'd really like to. But like Montrez's defense wasn't a problem today. Like obviously he had a couple situations where you want to go double team for no
Get double
reason,
team. Yeah.
and gave up a wide open three. But like for the most part, like the interior wasn't getting, like he wasn't a liability in pick and roll and stuff like that. The way that he normally, like maybe he was against the Blazers team. So it's just you just gotta wait. Um, you just gotta wait and see what this team looks like. Because yeah, 10 game. And look, man, I know a lot of people are saying like 20 games in, that's when you really know what this team is about. I don't know. I'll be the first to tell you I really don't know, because this regular season has been so strange. Like we're seeing teams that are supposed to, the Nets without
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie and KD beat the hottest team in the league in the Sixers, who are fully healthy. Like this season has been very strange. And obviously, they had the COVID situation or whatever, but this season's just been really strange, man. Like I don't know how to describe some of these win loss records. So we're gonna have games where we look bad, but we just win off the strength of our talent, like we have. And then we'll have some games where we do like excellent execution and everybody's hitting their shots, like how we played against Minnesota. And for 48 minutes, we look like this team that can't be beat. Or against like Dallas, we look like a team that just can't be beat. Um, and Dallas, like they lose to us and then they go 50 ball another team, like they
Yep.
50 ball the Clippers. So it's just like, okay, the Spurs, we're upset that we lost to the Spurs, but the Spurs went and they beat the Clippers too, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
Clippers are supposed to be rolling too as well. So it's just going to be really weird. I don't know when we'll know what the real version of these teams are. But I think we'll know it once we see the Lakers start locking in a little bit more defensively. When they're really tapped in defensively, that's when we know, okay, these guys are playing seriously. That I think that's like the tell for us of whether the Lakers are taking the game seriously or not. How locked in they are on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's just not a whole lot I think to take away from these games early on. There's a lot of talk. Obviously, it's the Lakers, and there's a lot of national guys paying a lot of attention. Like it's funny that like I saw a tweet by what's the guy from the Ringer,
Kevin O'Connor.
Kevin O'Connor, yeah. And I
Yeah,
find it funny that the Ringer is owned by Bill Simmons, huge Celtics guy, yet he's devoting all this attention to one of his guys is devoting all this attention now to the Lakers. I find that interesting, and I'm not saying his coverage is bad. It's a funny thing that there's just more attention now of the team, and there's only so much you can take away from it this early in the season. And with a
yeah,
blowout from this team, a blowout from that team, look, Lakers still haven't been blown out. Like
yeah. We have.
the other good
I'm
teams
actually.
have.
I'm like practically begging for it now at this point, because I was like, these guys need to get blown out. So like then they like, because it doesn't seem like they take it personally sometimes. Like, oh, we lost by 10, so they'll probably play
Right.
better defense against the Bulls. But at the same time, like they probably won't play like the best version of their defense. Like, and that's what we want. And it's tough to keep yourself motivated. We know that from the Shaq and
Mm-hmm.
Kobe era, um, three-peat. It is tough to keep yourself motivated at least through the course of the entire regular season. There will be long stretches where you just kind of don't care, and last thing I'll say about it is the over under on this team was like 46 games, right?
Hmm.
46 and a half games. I expect them to win between 45 and 50 games this year. I don't know if it's going to be because they're locked in on the defensive end the entire time, or if it's because the strength of their talent and all that sort of stuff. But I think 45 to 50 is about right. I think a lot of teams are not going to be winning like a ton of games. I think you're going to get a lot of stinkers, like the ones that the Sixers got, because now their whole regimen's about to get junked up because of this coronavirus thing. So, will they show up out of shape? How are they going to get to practice? What is the travel schedule going to look like? How does COVID affect you long term as a basketball athlete and stuff like that? So, we're gonna have to wait and see how this all sort of works out in the long run. But for now, we'll take any wins and losses,
Hmm.
however we can take them. That's all you can expect. I'm sure a lot of these guys don't even want to be playing basketball right now, but they're doing it because it's their jobs. So it's easier to eat these kind of losses. Um, it's easier to eat these kind of losses when what's it called? Like you have a championship in your back pocket. So,
Hmm.
uh, as always, Laker fans, um, don't forget we haven't even unveiled our banner yet. Oh, we're still waiting for that day. So, I'm just gonna enjoy it and not stress too much over it. At least for now.
Yeah, I agree. And the Lakers, they've got the Bulls tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, the Lakers look better. I suspect that they will tomorrow. They did. I don't think they'll go back to back losses. So that's what we have to look forward to. And I think there's only so much we can really talk about when it comes to these kind of games. They're up and down. The season's been up and down to your point. So guys, as always, we do appreciate you tuning in with us in these post games, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. For me and Vinay, I'm going to sign off, and you guys have been watching Laker Central.